said, you know, I really want to have you draw pictures and write some memories from the summer. And so he said, okay, I have one I want to draw. And so with stick figures, he drew a boy, and beside it, another stick figure, which looked like a boy, but he said, that's you. And then he put our arms toward each other and holding hands, and then put a heart in between the two of them and said, my best study buddy.
The impact that I feel is to bring caring adults in who can sit there with them as tutors academically, as mentors, providing role models for them, and just as friends, and be able to spend that time encouraging them, bringing their skills up, but also talking to them about long-range goals, about graduating from high school, and about the importance of doing well, the importance of coming to school and turning in your homework. And many of the children just need a friend to talk to who's not going to be judgmental.
Well, first of all, you're dealing with an older generation who have lived life and who've had some life's experiences. So they can bring that empathy to that situation and can help to convey to this young man how important education is and how desperately he's going to need it. And then, you can read to him and read from the things and whatnot, but I think the best service we could possibly give him is try to imbue that quality of the needing or wanting an education.
And you get to talk, you get to know the kid and their background, and it's just a neat thing. And they know they've got a friend that comes every week, and sometimes you bear candy, and sometimes you do special projects and things. So they don't get that in the classroom all the time.
One of the, I guess, benefits that we receive is, you become sort of a friend as long as a mentor to them, and establishing that friendship sometimes, they like to confide in you sometimes about certain things that go on in their life,
When we get the surveys back from teachers, I am often deeply moved by the comments they make about how the time that child spent with a tutor changed that child, the improvements they see in the child, the bonding that child found someone to hang on to when they were experiencing nothing but failure in their life.
That's what's so nice about this program. You're very free to use your own initiative and creativity, and if you spot something that the child needs help with, you can shift from something they're doing well to something that they aren't doing well.
We do become good friends. We talk about things other than reading. We read at each session, but we do other things. We do puzzles and games, and we talk, and generally each morning when I meet the boy, I say, well, did you have a good week, or did anything exciting happen to you this week? And several of my boys have been very shy. But with that kind of a conversation, you kind of break down that wall, and now, it's just free-flowing conversation.
It kind of goes back to the story about Oasis, the little girl at the beach that saw all the starfish that were dying because the morning sun was coming up, and she was throwing them back in the ocean. And a gentleman came along and asked her why she was doing that, and it isn't going to make a difference. There's so many of them. She picked one up and threw it to the water and looked up at him and says, I made a difference with that one. And that pretty well sums up why I enjoy tutoring.
I think OASIS in particular is important because I think that we lend, you might say, a little niche that these kids don't get otherwise. You know, these kids have a lot of adults in their lives, but most of them, like their parents, well, they kind of expect that their parents are going to want them to do well. And then their teachers, and of course their teachers are paid to make sure they do well. But all of a sudden one day, this old codger walks in and that has no connection with them whatsoever, and he tells them they're important. And I don't think there's anything more important than these kids realizing that their education is important and they're important. I think that's probably the number one thing we do.
When I was a little kid, I had a first grade teacher that was very instrumental in my education because she encouraged me, she helped me, she praised me when I did things right, and I'll never forget that teacher. And some of these kids, all they need is a little bit of attention, encouragement, and they'll do great. They'll do great. I can see it in some of the kids I work with. Yeah. Their reading has improved tremendously, and their self-assurance is a lot bigger.
It's important because, first of all, it does help the kids. We did a study a couple years ago that showed that over 90% of the students that are involved in the tutoring program show progress on standardized tests. It also helps the kids develop a relationship with an older adult. And I think mostly, sometimes that's could be the only time they get one-on-one attention throughout the school day, and some of them come from home environments where they don't get a lot of that kind of attention. So the relationship that develops between the students and the tutors helps the students gain confidence, and if they're more confident, they're going to be more successful in school.
It gives them a chance when they're one-on-one with someone who is, especially someone that is patient with them, that they're not pressured to perform to a test, that they get time at their own speed to learn things in a different environment. And I think it opens up, it gives them some confidence in themselves.
Oh, I think every year that I've worked with a child, and certainly not solely because of me, but combined with what's going on in the classroom and the school environment, I see them grow immensely from the beginning of the school year till the end of the school year, and it's like this whole new child emerging, especially one girl that I worked with who was so extremely shy at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year, she was just this bubbly little personality and so much fun. And yeah, so it is just great.
My grandchildren are raised. In 6 years, I got 12 grandchildren, and it was great when they were little. But they grew up, and now there's 8 or 9 in college. And so it really has fulfilled that motherly instinct in me that I could relate to a young child. It's just been very fulfilling. But also every month in our St. Charles School District, we have enrichment programs, and that help me get acquainted with other women my age and men. And I've had the opportunity to learn from others because we have a lot of sharing.
Our grandchildren live all over the United States, so we don't have any here. So I love children, and so most people do. But it's just fun to be with them because, they just say funny things, and when they react to something that I bring, they get all excited and they like it. So then when they come back, I come back the next week, what's our experiment? Because we use the word experiment. So, it's just very fulfilling. It's just been a real boom in my life.
Many tutors will ask, well, could I give a gift to the child? Maybe just a little book or something. There is no greater gift than an hour a week of undivided, non-judgmental attention.
This is one of the most important things that people can do, and I really recommend it to anybody that is retired and wants to get into something like this. But I will say one thing, you just better, if you get into the OASIS program, you just better be aware, because these little rascals are going to steal your heart right out from underneath you. I'll guarantee it.